That's gonna save a whole lot of
You might explain it.
Well, because in order to grant a variance, he's gotta have, there's gotta be something with respect to the property itself that creates a physical hardship.
Like staying out of floodplain or a cliff.
Well, okay.
And he doesn't, he's just building this, yeah, cheating.
Because I'm qualified. So because it's been saving money, it's not.
This is kind of just that first one. Something that's with respect to the house itself.
One minute.
That's why we got these, and like I said, I didn't bring mine in today. I thought, but that's what I'm
Reading, really trying to get into.
Yeah. That's somebody else calls and.
Has everybody signed up that wants to speak under public comments? Last chance. Thank you, Donnie. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. We're gonna get the meeting started. Planning Commission meeting, June 22nd, 2026. We will call the meeting to order in determination if we have a quorum. We do have 3 out of 5. We have 2 members that are not here tonight, but we do have a quorum, so we will press forward with our meeting. Approval of the minutes from last month. Anybody had a chance to look over those?
I read them online.
Okay.
She said,
We got a motion? We got a motion to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
I said,
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We will now move to public comments. Looks like we've got several people that have signed up to speak under public comments. I will ask under public comments, we will limit our comments to 3 minutes per person that is signed up. I'd like you to state your name and the agenda item that you're speaking on. I would ask if we have repetitious things that we're talking about, I don't want to hinder anybody's ability to speak. But if somebody has already said what you want to say, please don't repeat the same exact things over and over. Just be respectful of our time. And I will ask everybody respect that our public comments will be handled under public comments. We would ask after public comments are closed, unless somebody on this, at this table asks you to speak, we would ask you to remain quiet after public comments are over. So first person to speak is David Hobbs.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Hey guys. David Hobbs. So I live on the corner of Derrick Road, and just within just a couple days of that curve, I then had a car wreck, and then I got video of it on my phone if you guys want to see it. And then 2 minutes before the car wreck, my little girls were playing in the same yard. So we really need to be careful with how many cars we have coming through there. It's very dangerous. And I don't know if you guys drove from Depot Street over here, but the bridge is flooded. So there's only one way over it. And we've already had some deaths at that. So I think we need to get some of the infrastructure repaired before we flood this town with more and more people. I mean, like I said, I can show you the videos of this car accident. As a matter of fact, I've got my neighbor right here as a witness of how many accidents have happened and end up in my yard, just in that curve. So adding more, it's gonna be terrible. It's literally gonna be terrible, guys. I mean, more than happy to share this video. I can send it, I can show you, and then I can literally show him 2 minutes, beforehand, my kids were playing with rabbits. and the same yard. So, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next, we have a Greg Spain.
My name's Greg Spain. I live across the road from Mr. Hobbs. And like he said, there's been multiple wrecks in that curve, over the years. When, like he said, and I don't wanna keep repeating, so my suggestion would be, as him and I have talked, would be to make that curve, if you're gonna put an entranceway into that new subdivision, make that a three-way stop. That would limit the accidents as far as coming around that curve too fast. And it would make people more aware of the kids that are playing in the area. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Sean Henry. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir. I'm here on matter number 2 under old business.
Okay.
May I reserve my comments until then?
I'll ask Todd, is that okay?
He represents the client.
Yeah.
With the Groves?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Ben Hudson?
I'm here to speak about number 1 and number 2. I'd like to wait till that item comes up.
So I'm gonna defer to
Yeah,
Todd.
so Mr. Henry is counsel on behalf of the applicant, so he's gonna speak during the presentation on that agenda matter. This is public comment, so you can say what you need to say now.
Would that not be public comment?
No, he is here on behalf of, representing the applicant, just
We're
like.
here on behalf of multiple citizens of the area.
Right, and this is your time to speak.
So just for clarity, you're gonna let him speak out in turn outside of public comments, but not the rest of us. Let's just wanna get that on the record.
Is that correct?
He's
He
gonna
can
speak on
during-
behalf of the applicant. He's making the presentation on behalf of the applicant during that part of the agenda.
But he can speak during item number 2, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good evening, guys. I respectfully ask that you deny the approval of Groves Phase 2 and the associated roadway at this time. Not saying don't approve it, I'm saying not now. Now is not the time for this. There's multiple issues that need to be taken care of. Do not approve this with contingencies or anything until these are taken into consideration and in writing. My primary concern is that a critical condition of the original approval process appears to remain unresolved. The July 26, 2021 meeting minutes indicate that approval was contingent upon sewer approval due to concerns of the proposed sewer infrastructure. However, I have been unable to find through record requests and emails to the city and its staff any subsequent record showing approval and that this condition was ever satisfied or approved during that meeting or any subsequent meetings. This was a contingency of approval for Phase 1, and if that approval was never granted, what is the basis of moving forward today with an expired concept plan, which expired 1 year after submittal, because this falls under 2006 plans, not the current ones that were approved in 2023, and also an unapproved sewer plan with no record of ever having been approved. Beyond that issue, there are still significant unanswered questions. Sir? Can I have my time back? Still significant unanswered questions regarding water capacity, sewer service, infrastructure readiness, traffic, and flooding that still need to be addressed. Before approving a development of this scale, the town should have complete and documented answers to those questions. The proposed subdivision is effectively dependent on limited access routes, and for that reason, the subdivision, roadway annexation, and the rail crossing project should be evaluated together, not separately. I know we're working for a CRISI grant to be done, but that's 2 years out regardless. If this is approved, you'll potentially be putting 400 cars on that roadway, and every one of them, when the rail is closed, will be going around the Ball Lane, Old 99, or out Crutcher. Crutcher just had a hazmat container hit by a semi-truck 2 weeks ago, and a comprehensive traffic study should be completed before any approvals are granted, and it should evaluate conditions based on the subdivision's full build-out, not just phases 1, section 1, which is the only one approved, or phase 2, which is completely different from the concept plat, which only had 70 houses, not 140, as shown today, what you're seeing. The board should also consider the flooding impacts. That underpass was flooded today The underpass currently provides a path for stormwater movement, and eliminating it could worsen flooding on adjacent properties. Additional development will also increase stormwater runoff when impervious material is put down, such as rooftops, concrete, asphalt, as you all know or should. These impacts should be fully studied before decisions are made. This rail crossing is still 2 years from completion, with houses being able to be built in 90 days, as was stated at the last meeting. Traffic and safety are equally important. Approximately 20 to 25 trains pass through this daily, with 3 fatalities, 2 life-threatening incidents, and the hazmat hit at Crutcher Road. All since the majority of this commission and BOMA have been in office, and access remains limited, congestion worsens as development increases. Emergency access, school traffic, future growth, rail operations, and flooding concerns should all be considered together. I also believe taxpayers should not bear the cost of infrastructure improvements required solely because of private development. If roadway improvements are necessary, the annexation should include sufficient roadway on both sides of the development entrance, which you do not have on the table before you, with only 693 feet, which would include properly engineered turn lanes for eastbound and westbound traffic. These improvements, along with any associated right-of-way acquisition, drainage work, road widening, or future upgrades required by the development, should be funded entirely by the developer and not by the Chapel Hill taxpayers, the people y'all answer to. This interest was denied by the county approximately 8 years ago, and we have experienced exponential growth since. Finally, regarding agenda item 3, a turn lane will be needed to mitigate those traffic risks, just like was given to McDonald's. I support responsible growth. However, growth should occur after these approval conditions are met, studies are completed, and infrastructure concerns are fully addressed. Until that happens, I respectfully ask you deny Groves Phase 2, roadway annexation, and bear in mind that the board has been advised by your attorney that approval should not be considered with contingencies. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, man. Paul Dillon?
Let me get this here really quick. I want to give you a copy. It's not just part of this one.
Okay.
Here's this with you guys. I'm going to ask that this be submitted into the record and that this be made a permanent public record. Essentially, under the 2020, I think it was 2016 subdivision plan, and the new one, which I think is 2023, it requires a step process to get approval for the phases. It starts off with a sketch plan. The sketch plan has to be approved saying, hey, the city's probably like something like this. And then they go from there, that within 12 months, he has to, by town ordinance, move into the final or the preliminary plat. That process is only good for 12 months. Phase 2 does not have a preliminary plat been submitted and approved. Anything from the past is over 12 months old. You have to do that. That's our town ordinance. That's the law. You cannot skip step 1 and go immediately to step 2, which is the proposal here tonight. Step 1 hasn't. How do we know? If you go through everything on the exhibits, those are all the meeting minutes that reflect this. And when his initial approval was for phase 1, Mr. Zimmerly was on the planning commission at that time. Multiple times, and it's recorded in the notes, and at that time I believe it may have been Mr. Dye, who was the town recorder, specifically says multiple times throughout a lot of them, this is only for section 1, phase 1, section 1. So what he's trying to do is bypass a completely required level that he had 12 months to do, and he did not. So on that basis alone, you should deny section 2 moving forward, because the basics of the law have not been met. Here's another part. When you look through his plans that he submitted, nowhere did he say he was going to build a rock quarry, and nowhere did he say he was going to put a pond. We can get these pictures to you formally, but here's some pictures taken from one of his victims' property who's involved in a lawsuit. She is here today against Mr. Knox. Here's some pictures of that quarry. We've checked with the state, we've checked with everybody. Never once were we able to find any permits pulled under his name, his business name, or under PLC to do all this blasting. Here's some of the blasting they were doing at nighttime, taken from trail cameras. We got plenty more pictures here to support and back this up. You know, it was another developer here in town who's also a state rep. When he was at the BZA for the county, he said, you know what, I'm here asking for permission. He said, unlike another developer up in north part of the county, he just does it and then asks for forgiveness afterwards. That's recorded on the BZA meeting notes. I spoke with Mr. Warner, he said, confirmed yes, that wasn't Mr. Knox he was referring to. So Taking that's recorded. We know he didn't pull permits from the railroad when he went under there, and the railroad police had to come from Nashville to shut him down. We know that he was denied to put the road in, but he did it anyway by the county. He doesn't have permission, it's against town ordinance to put a rock quarry and dig a rock quarry, did it anyway. At what point does this board say, enough is enough, we're responsible to the people of this town, not a developer? I understand some here may have personal relationships, but I think that needs to be set aside because we live here, our families live here, our kids, and probably our grandkids are gonna live here too. When we start putting that at risk, we put everyone at risk. We put lives at risk because, Joe, you're a firefighter, you know the EMS problems, you know the firefighting problems. These are all things that can be addressed and resolved. And since this phase 2 would fall under the current subdivision development plan, and the other one allowed it too, you have the right to require all these impact studies to be done to make sure that this is safe. It's in the law. But that's almost negate right now because he still has to do step 1, submit the sketch plat. He has to do that. When he did it in the past, it's been 12 months, it's been expired. We went through all the meeting notes. Public records requests have been made. It's been no secret. Amy has been buried with public records requests. You know, unfortunately, our hands are tied that that's the only way we can do it. We have sought through every single one from the beginning to last week. Folks, it's not there. You've got a copy of meeting minutes that reflected in the back. I know he's brought his attorney from Nashville, he's gonna speak, but just full disclosure, we're pretty close to setting up a legal fund for town members to fight this. Because at very minimum, the law has to be followed, at very minimum. And another thing too, before I forget, on his original plan for phase 1, section 1, it says that he's gonna be building over sinkholes, and he had to have engineering sign off on it. That doesn't exist. We have many, Amy probably can tell you, we've made multiple records requests specifically looking for that, can't be found. Is that another do it now, ask for forgiveness later? I think some of your guys' generosity and our way of living is being taken advantage of here. And thank you, Isaac. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Paul. Next we have Nathan Pierson.
It's for both agenda items 1 and 2 under old business. I understand that some members of this board, as well as members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, envision growth that makes Chapel Hill more comparable to communities such as Spring Hill, Franklin, or even Murfreesboro. Now, achieving that vision often involves approving significant development projects, expanding the tax base to increase municipal revenue. However, one practice that those communities generally avoid is approving major development proposals with substantial unresolved conditions. Doing so provides little benefit to the public and primarily serves the interests of the developer. When preliminary plats are approved subject to numerous conditions, there is risk that over time required conditions may not be fully verified or enforced. Responsible planning requires that critical requirements be satisfied and documented before approval is granted, ensuring accountability and protecting the long-term interest of the community. With that being said, I ask that both the annexation as well as the preliminary plat be denied until these issues are resolved, at which time the applicant can resubmit his request. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Chadwick White.
Hey y'all, how are y'all this evening? I want to address y'all on their behalf. I won't harp on what they've already said to y'all. However, I think what they've said so eloquently can be put in simple terms as no one is wanting to stop growth. We all know it's coming. They just want you to stop putting the cart before the horse. Get the infrastructure in place and do it the right way. That's the only thing they're asking for, and I think the board should consider that. As you and I spoke earlier last time with my outburst, I had asked you about recusing yourself, so I wanted to know if you had filled out this form and officially recused yourself from this. I think you should, since you have some personal interest involvement.
Thank you, sir. Donald Lowe.
So, yeah, a lot of people said the same thing, but what I don't understand is up to this point, I haven't heard anyone between the board, the planning commission, or BOMA that has an idea exactly what's gonna happen with the intersection. And the biggest problem with most towns or cities is they go ahead and they annex a road and they decide later what they're gonna do with the intersection. Why don't we have a plan forward first? Do we need stop signs? Like you said, make it a three-way stop. Does it have to take other control devices to make it safe? Why annex the road now, when even as the mayor said, the promises are it's gonna be a year and a half before the first house gets start building in phase 2 if y'all approve it? So why aren't all those answers done first and then look at annexation? Talking about 693 feet of road that the town does not have to take on at this point. Not to say you don't have to take it on later. If you have to, you have to. But again, there's no need to do it at this moment because it's not gonna change what happens with that intersection. Or if it is gonna be the developer required to make adjustments to the road to be able to get that second entrance, get that confirmation in writing to where it's contractually required to be done so before the town takes on any financial expense that they may not need. Because if you don't approve the second entrance, or you can't do the second entrance, there's no point in annexing the road. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So that's everyone under public comments. Thank y'all. I do want everybody to know your comments are taken to heart by everybody sitting on this board. So we will move on to old business. Specific to agenda item number 1, I will voluntarily choose to recuse myself due to the public's perception that there could be a conflict of interest, and I will abstain from voting on said item. So Joe, I will voluntarily pass the chair. Yes, sir. A quorum is still present, and Todd, that's still okay?
Yep.
Okay, so a
Has to
quorum is
pass
present.
with the majority that are voting, present and voting, so.
Yeah, so I will.
Either present or president, or not both.
So I voluntarily recuse myself because of the public's perception of a conflict of interest. Joe, do you mind taking over for agenda item number 1 under old business?
Well, agenda item 1 is consider and recommend to the board, mayor, aldermen, with regard to the plan of service for annexing approximately 690 linear feet of roadway on Old Highway 99. I think there's a possibility of using this roadway. The development is already considered in Chapel Hill. It's whether or not it gets thrown out. It'll make it easier.
For full disclosure, I came in today to familiarize myself with this. I've never seen the full concept plan. To be honest with you, when I first heard about this, I didn't believe it was gonna happen. I said, who in the world is gonna put that many houses down in Depot Street? So I didn't even look into it. Well, after I've got on the board, I come to the realization, yes, I've seen the full concept plan. I've looked through everything. I've looked through our regulations for the subdivision. The gentleman stated about the design coming before and full disclosure, Jeff Knox came in today while I was in here. We had a couple of discussions. I had a couple of questions. So, full disclosure, I talked to him a little bit today. It was not a pre-plan. I came in. I had never seen the master concept plan for this. Talking with him a little bit concerning the new entrance, I kind of agree as far as the design aspect. He's wanting to wait on that, and I'm not speaking for Mr. Knox, I'm just relating the conversation. Why would you want to go to the expense of having the design done if you don't have the right of way or phase 2 approved? Why would you go to that expense, which I agree with? That's not going to be a cheap expense for a traffic study and the whole process for that. So then I bounced about, why would we if we approve the annexation and we don't approve the entrance, what happens to that stretch of roadway? Can we rededicate that back to the county, or are we still obligated to take care of that road?
Yeah, I think in this scenario, I mean, there is an alternative for de-annexation, but I would suggest that you assume that we are not gonna be able to de-annex the right of way.
Once we annex it, we're gonna have it, irregardless of the situation of phase 2 or whether the new entrance gets approved.
Is Marshall County already approved to annex it? Is that correct?
0.3 miles of roadway.
Right.
And that takes us to where?
I think in your packet I have
You mean that other part?
So-
I think the last
The
one we looked
graphic
at
that
is
you
stopped
put
right
in
there
there.
at the entrance.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
This-
you're excused.
this graph right here. This is the
These
end
are
of,
discussion partners.
this is the end of the plat.
Okay.
This is how far Marshall County has told us we can have.
And this one will be past the gardens area, okay,
Mhm.
okay. So this is what we're looking at.
So if,
Adding to the 600, it wouldn't add the other two.
no, only
Okay,
if you
the
want
total.
to. I mean, you can make a recommendation to
That
take
we
all
add
of
this
it.
into this portion here.
You can say, because the Marshall County,
Well, to me, that would be the only viable option, because you're gonna need that addition to make everything work if you do design something in that area.
There's one other thing that I think was just brought to light based on the public comment that was made though, is, and then again, this is just a recommendation that BOMA will ultimately determine whether this is annexed or
Correct,
not.
correct.
But if the town were to annex it, pre-development, the town, not to say there's negligence or there's anything wrong with the road as constructed currently, but it immediately becomes the town's responsibility and
Correct.
potential liability at that point. So, you know, the town has right of way all over the town, obviously, but it is another level of responsibility, not just for paving and upkeep, but for, if something else were to happen there before the development even.
Just open up
affected
a
the
potential
intersection.
Pandora's box. You cover all situations once you claim ownership of it.
this resolution from Marshall County, it allows for approximately 0.33 miles. So up to that amount,
Which
We
that
have the
point
ability.
33 includes the extension that you just showed me, correct?
yes, that would be the extent of it.
Okay. That includes this extension. Cause it did in there.
Yep.
That includes, that point 33 includes this whole stretch here.
Mhm.
And we wouldn't be discussing this if it was not for that entrance in that subdivision. And then you wouldn't need that if phase 2 is not viable.
You'd still need that in phase 1, if you're talking, as everybody's
Well, it
concerned.
really don't connect to phase 1.
No, it doesn't connect yet, but I'm saying, it was looked at or added egress from the place,
For fire safety.
for fire safety, for whatever.
Right.
Can ease the flow of the traffic out of it, because everybody isn't gonna go under Depot Street Bridge. Or over whenever it gets done.
Correct, it would alleviate some traffic going through there, for sure. That's going to the Columbia area, Spring Hill area.
Right, and most of that is gonna be county road, that's gonna be their traffic hazard or their traffic that has to flow.
And with phase 1 already being final platted, and it does have its advantage to have that interest there, regardless of whether phase 2 is
Started or
accepted or
not.
not.
And then if we can get,
Because we have that's in place.
that's already
We
in place.
have to deal with that as it is in place now.
And that becomes the hard issue, which depends, when you talk to, as you did not, whoever, would he be willing to do the traffic study? He's already put barricades back up where they suppose they're cutting through on construction. So he made that posted as not a construction entrance and things like that, so he's trying to work with it. Is it right, is it wrong? Again, he's looking at making a better way for him to get in and out. We can defer it and make it with some added things that he needs to give us,
But then.
but then we're delaying
Would
and
he go
delaying
to that
and delaying.
expense prior to having that annexation? That's the key.
Well, not necessarily, I mean, you could require basically them to propose a design and evaluate that.
That's what I was looking for last time. I thought we would get a proposal from him showing what he had, and that's what I told him today. I thought we would have a proposal prior to the annexation to see if that was something viable, that we would approve outside of the annexation and then add annexation to it. Kind of like what, Don Lowe said.
Right.
It's kind of the cart before the horse, but then I understand if he's gonna, that's not gonna be a cheap expense, I wouldn't think,
Right.
for that study to do it right.
One, and I don't know if, will the, I don't know how far along the overpass has been designed, if at all, but even roughly, if, how the other entrance would be affected by that.
Not greatly, it would go about 100, 120 to 150 feet on the other side. I'm sorry, I'm not
Of the overpass,
Yeah, they eat up some land to make the
but it wouldn't
overpass.
shut down the ingress egress
It
from the
should not.
existing exit.
No.
Would they still be able to go through?
As far as I know, they'll go through, they'll probably.
They won't shut
by-
that whole entrance down? They'll leave the underpass open or something of that nature?
No, they'll eventually shut that whole trestle down in doing
And that
that.
will force everybody out 99
Again, they'll
and come all the
probably
way back
enforce-
through town.
But as far as to make
Or
that
up
ramp,
through Smiley and out Crutcher and coming
but
the
to
other way.
make that ramp, they come not anywhere near close to their entrance.
But it would shut it down
Or not.
accessing town.
Accessing town, which is part of construction, whether they do it here,
Correct,
there, or wherever.
correct.
And like, the one they were talking out at Crutcher Road, when we were out there, my friend was driving a truck, and it was the grade, it wasn't anything to do with the railroad itself. The crossing bars were there and everything else, it just got wedged, and he was able to bail out.
Yeah, I dragged my camper across Crutcher Road and I've got
So,
that
so
much
now,
clearance.
with, looking at it before with the Chris grant that we tried for, and now getting back into it, and then other numbers that they gave us at that crash up there in Crutcher Road, we have more people to contact to try to take care of it. But that's all gonna be 4 years out, or sooner or later, depending on how it goes. So in the meantime, we still gotta think about
Correct.
accesses in that too. So even if we defer it or postpone it in some other way and see if we can get more information from Knox if he's willing to do it, would that satisfy people? Probably not, but that's the best we can do at this point. Or assume the roadway, but then like you said, if it goes to being widening and everything else, we're fighting that on every road we got here. Right now, there's no supposed utilities or anything that affect us on that part of the roadway that if we picked up either. There's no utilities or anything like that there. And I think we also mentioned that in the last planning, that if Knox would make that either a traffic light situation, a three-way stop, or whatever, including access of a turning lane or a deceleration lane for them. But that'll have to probably be through him.
And then if he decides not to do that, just to go the direction that he is currently,
Then he
if
said,
phase two and everything, if it finally does get approved, everything's coming out, just one entrance and one exit.
right,
Which is
unless,
not a good scenario anyway.
no, and unless he can get access to
Another
Ball
joint
Lane or
property.
whatever. So somewhere along the line, if he got an easement to come out to the roadway, farther up, but that'll be buying into Marshall County property or somebody up there on that end of his town. Or his subdivision. I mean, Morningside is gonna be the same thing, there's only one place to come out over there. On the skinny road.
I haven't looked over it.
But that's something that's also in future development as far as water and everything going on, infrastructure too, once that gets loose. So we're in
Well, I can see that a lot of advantages having it for, even for the existing phase one that's already
Mhm.
being built, I can see the advantages of that. My only concern would be annexing it prior to seeing if that isn't even viable with the traffic study and the whole deal. I went out and looked, I've sat out here 2 or 3 times just to get
See
orientation,
the
how much
traffic,
traffic
yeah.
flows coming through, where the drainage is going.
Yep.
There's a low area here, when you put that fill in, I looked at some of your storm structures, they're coming into the detention pond here, but there's quite a length of this roadway that shuts straight off into the highway. Now, he's currently got 2 catch basins and a head wall that's gonna, I think, bring the water down and around, but is there enough room in this hole here to keep it from coming onto the road to get that water turned back into this detention basin? That's why I would like to see what his intent is there before, as you're saying, once we annex it, it's ours. Irregardless of whether that's.
Mhm. So what do you recommend doing?
I would, for me, I would like to see what his design is gonna be there and whether it's feasible for that entrance. And if something can be presented along those lines, I'm off. I think it's better for everybody, even with phase 1, just being only phase construction.
Agree. So then, we would suggest to defer it till we get some of those pieces of information
That
back.
would be my recommendation.
Let's do it.
Well, I recommend we defer it until we get further clarification from Mr. Knox as to the design and what steps he's willing to take as far as the traffic study and the hydrology and.
Design, traffic.
But do I think it fits in with phase 1? Yes.
I agree, it fits in with phase 1 just for emergency access, ease of traffic getting out, because everybody is.
Well, it gives access to go east and west.
Right. And everybody is.
It won't
going
force
out.
everyone that's going west to go back through another double curve to get back out.
Right. And Ball Lane isn't no
No,
easy road. Can't believe the county paved it.
it's 100% better than what it used to be.
Well, yeah, 'cause they paved it.
Still, it's not ready for anywhere near this kind of traffic.
Okay, he has a first.
I'm gonna second it on the deferral.
Okay, and, I don't know if you wanna get any opinion from his representative or not.
I think as I understand,
Yes.
Mr. Henry is here on item number 2.
Okay.
And then we have Mr. Zimmerly abstaining. And I don't think we actually need a roll call vote, because we both agree that it's
All in
first and
favor?
second. First and second.
Say aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna step back into the meeting. Moving on to old business, agenda item number 2. Consideration to approve or deny the Groves at Chapel Hill, phase number 2, preliminary plat for property located off of Old Highway 99, parcel ID, tax map 25, parcel 13. I understand we have a representative of the applicant here, so we'll give you a moment to let us know what's going on.
Yes, sir, thank you. My name is Sean Henry, 500 11th Avenue North in Nashville. And I'm here with Gerald Vick, the civil engineer on this development that grows at Chapel Hill. Mr. Knox contacted me a few weeks ago and just said, hey, I could really use some help voicing the proposal that we have in front of the planning commission. And so I reluctantly volunteered, but here I am. Let me pass around the master development plan. I heard mention of it. Actually, I've got several, I think I've got 10 copies.
I've got one here.
Okay. Get a little stuck together. Yeah, there's several copies. So
Can I get one? Can I have one?
No, not at this time.
we marked this up so that, and I see
I
that's.
copy to see what your markup is consistent.
Just hang on to that. Go that way, it's consistent.
All right, so what we're trying to point out here on this, on the development plan that was approved back in 2020, is the extent, first of all, phase one, section one, that's already been approved by this body and recorded back in February. So final plat for phase one, section one, which is off to the right there, that's now of record and approved. And now he's back, Mr. Knox is back with phase one, section two. Your agenda says phase two. There's a lot of, it's two. It's the colored area marked as two.
Right.
And you'll see the extent of water lines that have been extended all the way through even phase three, section four, all the way to the TVA power line. The pump station has been installed down there next to the railroad tracks with 2 miles of off-site 8-inch force main, sewer force main. It generally runs along the railroad track there on the west side. Comes out of several cul-de-sacs there in phase two. So the purpose of this exhibit and the colors that we put on there is just simply to demonstrate the extent to which the developer here has been out there on the site, moving dirt, following through with approvals that were originally granted. And this master development plan, again, dating back to 2020, and following that 2020 action, I mean, I know we're 6 years later, but this project has been continuously underway. TDEC issued notice of disturbance in 2021, TDEC approved the water plans in 2023, TDEC approved the sewer plans in January 2024. And so he's continued to move along, and we've had the latest approval just in February of this year with the final plat. So I've heard people from the audience suggest to you all that according to your code, according to your subdivision regulations, something's expired. And yes, your subdivision regulations do talk about things expiring. But when you compare that with the Tennessee Vested Property Rights Act, it talks about a 3-year time frame of being vested once a plan like this is approved by the city, which it was. There's a 3-year time frame for the developer, the builder to move forward in obtaining any necessary permits, which he's done. Installed infrastructure, site preparation is the definition under state law. It's clearly installed water and sewer lines. That's part of the site preparation definition under the state statute. And we've got a brand new final plat that's of record approved in January of this year. Each time a phase is approved, the 3-year statute of limitations starts over. So on a multi-phase development like this, the developer has up to 15 years, so long as he's continuing to chip away during those time periods for each phase. So the idea that it's expired under your local law is ineffective because state law controls the approval and status of the development site. So you were just talking about the item one. I didn't want to step up and say anything, but I think we could commit my client to perform a TIS relative to the road, but only after it's going to be annexed into the city. And there needs to be one step taken so that he's actually analyzing a road that you all can decide on. You've already passed on that, you've deferred that. When that comes back, I think we would be back here with an endorsement of the annexation and a traffic impact study coming forward on the next phase, which would be the phase 3 or phase 1, section 3, further to the south there, the next phase after this phase 2. So that would be the time to bring forward a TIS in front of you. This item was deferred from your last meeting, so we're upon the 60-day time frame under state law for this plat to be acted upon. Happy to answer any questions. Mr. Vick is here. He's the engineer of record. I'm just a spokesperson.
Thank you, sir.
One final thing. What's in front of you, my understanding is what's in front of you satisfies all the requirements of your subdivision regulations, all the technical requirements necessary for subdivision plat approval. And that's what we're asking for.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Happy to answer your questions.
So I guess next, Steve, relative to phase 2, have you had a chance to review
Yes, that addressed everything. The only question, I hadn't heard it back. The land area, it was off a couple acres.
We went through and ran the calculations, I think everything's correct, but I can get you, make sure you've got the updated copy.
Yeah, we're off 2 acres.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was, yeah, I think that's in open space, and the open space calculation needed to be adjusted to show that area.
That was the only comment I had.
Todd, question for you before we move into discussion on this matter. At our last meeting, we did ask for some guidance from the Board of Mayor and Aldermen relating to whether we're under a water moratorium or not. And there's a letter that the developer has that could be interpreted that his specific development may not be subject to that moratorium. It's my understanding that we still don't have a clear, guidance from the Board of Mayor and Aldermen as to, related to this subdivision, is it subject to the water moratorium, or does the letter stand?
So the letter, I don't think is of any legal effect. I don't think it binds the town to,
Okay.
and I'm not even sure, even on its face, it was a commitment. It was a plan for provision of water moving forward. However, the moratorium was passed with the understanding that there were some developments that had approvals for plats that were basically grandfathered in under the moratorium. And I believe it was, of course, subsequent to this phase 1, and I think that original approval had 70 or 71 lots originally approved, but as built, I think it.
49 is fine, I believe, is that right?
I think 58.
Or 58?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
This is in a unique situation in that there were some taps that are probably still grandfathered in, but not enough to satisfy all of phase 2. So, a couple of options. One, you could deny and say, look, with the moratorium doesn't allow us to accept beyond what you have in the original phase, or said this was submitted before the moratorium, and so since it apparently, if it's corrected to address the issue that Steve raised, that you could say that the plat is approved because it complies with the regulations that were in place, but before final plat, you're gonna have to make a determination on water availability for all the lots in the plat before the final plat can be approved. And then that puts the
So it would be
risk on the developer to say, okay, we can move forward, maybe we have however many lots are still left that were grandfathered in, but we, until we have clarity on water availability for the rest of the plat, we can't get final plat done.
Okay. So I will state, Joe and Harley, we can't defer this again. When an applicant submits a plat, if no action is taken within 60 days, I believe there's some rule or law where somebody can argue that it's automatically approved. So to keep from getting in that predicament, I believe we do have to make some type of motion tonight, relative to phase 2. Now, I do want to be clear, phase 2 is standalone in addition to the 70 that was already approved on phase 1. Is that accurate? So there's still 12 lots that can be final on phase 1 that have nothing at all to do with phase 2. So phase 2 would be the 70 pre-existing, 58 being final, 12 more or less guaranteed a final as long as a plat conforms. So this would put, if phase 2 is approved on the preliminary, it puts the total at 148. and I know that there's, a lot of discussions tonight revolve around safety and traffic. At what point do we need to have the applicant, do a traffic study? And I think the representative of the applicant even said, I think the developer is willing to do one, but do we require that after phase two? Do we deny and require that as part of phase two?
How many were actually permitted on the final plat? That was out on phase-
58.
There was 58.
58, and there was
Because
70.
now his drawing was showing these lots here being incorporated in
So-
phase one, but they're not incorporated.
So I think these are
These
the,
are not, and these are not in phase one.
but
They are phase one,
They are.
but
They-
it's gonna be section two.
another section.
Section two, the phase
But
one,
they haven't been
section two
approved
hasn't
with
had
the
a
Correct.
final.
final plan.
Correct.
So they
So
haven't been approved with the preliminary plan.
No,
either.
they were, 70 was approved on a preliminary.
Right.
The 58 in yellow
So-
are approved on the final. The blue is the
So,
rest
but this is
of,
still part of phase one, but it's phase one, section two.
but it's not on the final yet. It's approved
That's right.
as part of the preliminary, but it's not final.
And so those total, including
Yep.
phase one, section two, how many total lots are there?
There's
Seven.
21
That's the
in
seven.
There's 21 blue.
Yes.
So what's final? Is it 48 or 58?
This,
Go ahead.
the approved final plat on phase one, section one is 50 lots.
50. So
Yeah.
there's 20 more,
Yeah, right.
20 more.
21
owned.
makes
Now,
sense.
are those 20 this blue area, or those
Okay.
20 encroaching into phase two? Where are
I
those
think,
20?
I think they're the blue.
This
Are they the
20
blue?
is the teal area.
Mr. Vick?
This is the 20.
The 21 in blue.
Correct, it's the.
The
Yeah,
agenda
there's five,
says
right.
phase two, not 1.2. So which one are we talking about?
So what we're here for tonight
And that's
is
a total of 50.
phase two,
including-
not, it has nothing to do with the rest of the lots on
That's a
phase two.
total including.
Remember,
58
it was
yellow.
phase one, section one,
50
not section
here
two,
and-
three, none of that's gonna.
Correct.
then you need
So
to
that's a total of 70. 70 this one.
And I think one person's concern tonight that spoke was there still are some lots on phase one that are not final and then jumping into phase two. I think the way the regulations are written, that is allowed, but I think maybe Mr. Engineer, if you can, is there a reason we're jumping into phase two before the rest of phase one is final?
Correct. Basically due to process of getting approvals and things like that, we start the process with the next phase
Okay.
while they finish the construction of the previous phase. Because, we've got the preliminary plat that'll be followed by construction plans. And that all will have to come through the process of being approved, and then, that he can't start construction until all of those are approved for this phase. So there's several months of that process after the preliminary plat is approved before you get to the point where you could actually go to work on it. And we've got to get your approval on construction plans, and then of course we've got to get the water approval from the state, the sewer approval from the state, and the SWIP approval from the state, that sort, so.
Okay. Thank you.
And they can't start building in phase two until phase one is done.
No, not necessarily. No, procedurally, if phase two preliminary were approved,
Okay.
and then if 10 lots of section one on phase two came in ahead of the rest of phase one, I believe anything could be built on once it's on the final plat. That does kind of make sense to me that part of phase one may not be final until the decision on the road annexation and the second entrance occurs, just because part of phase one did have lots going all the way out to 099, so.
You can add lots or take away
Yes.
lots
So-
for the turn.
So there are a few lots that
Which would be those 5 up front.
and I'm not speaking for the applicant, but the engineer could address that.
Yeah,
but
I think that's why those were removed from the plat, because they were waiting to figure out what was gonna happen.
Because
at that
it'd either
end.
be a cul-de-sac there, or it'd be an entrance there, one or the other.
But just to be clear, phase two has nothing at all to do with the remaining 20 lots on phase one.
Correct.
Phase two is a standalone, and I did notice a discrepancy. The letter that was mentioned, at the last meeting said that 70 was the number, and I noticed phase two had 78. is there a reason? You know,
Well,
it's-
the letter said 70 per year. And
Okay.
that.
So that would be on the file.
That really was
talking about the water
unrelated
rate.
to
The water.
to the master plan, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was, you know,
Hey, Todd, let me ask you a question.
yes.
Todd,
Oh, okay.
the preliminary plans is be deferred tonight. It doesn't follow the subdivision, the final subdivision.
I'm sorry, this is second, it was deferred last time. You got,
But preliminary plat doesn't have timelines that a final plat would have. So if it were deferred tonight, it wouldn't be all that.
No, I think there's a timeline. on
It is,
it.
yeah, unless the legislature just changed that this year,
I thought I read it in there,
Yeah.
when
It
it
is
does
gotta
have a
be-
60-day. I went back and read it,
all
it's pretty good
plats have to
today.
be voted.
And I'm pretty sure it
one
does
way
have
or
a
another.
So
60
do a
day
final
on
plat,
preliminary.
dude, I didn't.
Yeah,
Now,
And it goes into the language of if it's not,
yeah,
then I think it goes to BOMA
Yeah.
at that point,
and
with or without a recommendation from us.
And just as a standard rule of practice for our body, if we do choose to deny a plat, we do need to state for the record what rule or what reason it's not being approved, so that the applicant has an opportunity to correct, or satisfy, you know,
Correct.
whether it's water, sewer, roads.
That
traffic
refers
study.
back to an actual article in the
Yeah.
regulations,
Yeah.
this is what we're looking at.
Correct. So we,
now, the applicant, what we've done multiple times, the applicant could withdraw or agree to a deferment by pulling it off the agenda to allow for more conversation and, but
so I guess before we move forward, would the representative of the applicant voluntarily withdraw the plat?
No, sir.
Okay,
My client's not authorized me to withdraw the plat.
okay, thank you.
This is preliminary, and as you all been discussing, they've gotta come back with a final. When they come back with a final, some of these finer issues of concern will certainly be addressed at that point in
Well,
time.
with the construction plans.
Correct, yes, sir.
That's a
And
misleading.
and similarly, reiterate the commitment that the next phase, after this one that you're acting on tonight, would come in with a traffic impact study to evaluate that second entrance that's being considered for.
And would that
annexation.
include, if that's part of the additional lots in phase one? I think we could require it if for phase one regardless, but, we do have however many lots, if that.
We have
would
20
do it for
something.
The entire development.
Yeah.
The traffic impact study would look at the entire development.
Would it be during school
But not-
hours?
But not at this, I think so, but not at this phase, the next phase.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Whether that's 3 or additional, the revisions of phase one.
A point was made that typically the traffic studies would be done when school's in session. And so, you know, that's one of the ideas of, yeah, this is not a good time to do it, in the middle of summer.
Hey, Gerald, have you been aware of any drainage problems?
Sir,
Have you been aware of any drainage problems? that you
I had not heard of anything at this point, no, sir.
You ain't been out there, dude.
Yeah.
Go out there now, go look.
It flooded Depot in Old 99.
I got a pond in my
so-
field from it.
Relating to this matter, we do need, it's my opinion, we do need to take some type of action on it tonight. There are several, if we choose to deny the plat, I think we need to give the applicant the reason or the rule he hasn't followed, so that he has an opportunity to correct that, come back with a corrected plat. If, in the past, this body has approved plats with contingencies, but we've had a lot of discussion on that over the past year. And I know our mayor's not here tonight, but I will say that the mayor has multiple times in meetings asked that our contingencies, moving forward, be very limited to pretty much, you know, require things like your final asphalt topping, that's all.
Push yourself up,
Yeah,
you know,
that's-
go ahead and make.
Yeah, so like your final asphalt topping is always something that's gonna be done later, not now. As far as any traffics, studies, commitments, agreements.
That really should be done prior to.
So that would be, if that's desired, that would need to be stated as part of the grounds for denial, so that when the plat comes back, you know, hopefully all of those issues can be discussed and addressed and satisfied. So relative to our discussion tonight, the public comments we've heard, we've also heard from the applicant, the applicant's representative and the engineer. Does anyone want to make a motion relative to this agenda item?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask for the opportunity to respond, just one quick public comment, if everybody would agree that I can just speak on behalf of everyone here?
20 seconds.
Okay. For clarity, it was section one, or phase one, section one, that's all that was approved. Section two was not approved, so that's not gonna be vesting. Three, part, the subsections or whatever, they have not been approved, only section one, or phase one, section one. If you want to move beyond that, it has to go through the sketch plat approval. I just want that to be clearly on the record. Going beyond that, the vesting part is solely to section one, phase one, period. Nothing beyond that has been approved, so it has to go through the sketch plat plan.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
So I will, relative to that, Steve, the new regs, because phase one, which is not what we're here on tonight we're on phase two. Phase one was under the old regulations. Phase two falls under the new regulations we put into place 2024, 2025, 23.
I'm seeing 2023.
It's
2023.
August 28, 2023 is a new.
2023, I know we worked on it for a long time, and then Steve worked diligently on it. We went through many work sessions. Relative to the new subdivision regulations, is a sketch plat a requirement or a suggestion?
Requirement.
And we did, correct me if I'm wrong, we have not seen a sketch plat for phase two. Now, I do know we saw a concept plan for the annexation. I remember, I was here in 2020 when the original conceptual plan was brought forth to simply annex the property. And it's kind of, I guess, what we're referring to as the master development, that appears that it's either the same or a close rendition of the concept plan. But if the new regs call for a sketch plat of this phase, then it sounds like we might have a.
Well, and that's what I went back and looked at, and that's Article 3, Section C2, the requirements for the preliminary plat. Has that been completed? There's a whole list.
That's what we've been working on.
Of the sketch, you mean?
That's what you.
For the preliminary.
Correct, is it being completed? It said it has to be
So it's
completed
sketch-
before it's brought to
Well, there's
us.
some issues. No.
Okay. Because, I mean, it specifically says that these specific items have to be completed on the preliminary sketch prior to us either approving or denying.
And Todd, I guess I'll defer to you. As far as the new regulations requiring a sketch plat, does the original concept plan for annexation, could that be referred to as the sketch plat or not?
I think so. I think under this development, again, it was submitted, this, as I recall, was submitted to the planning commission. The town historically didn't even approve sketch plats. They would require the development to
Discuss
submit
it.
it to review because we didn't want to grant vested rights just based on a sketch plan. So then the master development plan was submitted, and with that preliminary plat being approved in 2020 and then 2021, then that's when the vested rights kicked in. So I would actually disagree. In my opinion, this development is under the subdivision regulations and ordinances that were in effect in 2021. I don't think there's any good argument that somehow this developer has lost his vested rights under those regulations. But as I understand, if Steve's reviewed this under the current regulations and it still complies with those regulations, again, you've got to make a determination as to what basis you're gonna deny it upon. And unless there's some violation of the subdivision regulations or ordinance to do that, then you're left with the miscalculation apparently in the open space or the water moratorium issue.
So are you saying that section C does not apply to phase two?
That'd be crazy.
Plat
No,
submission.
what we're saying, and if you look at the description of
And
what
this
a
is from
sketch plan
23,
is,
this is-
a sketch plan is just what it says.
Correct,
Like, it's a
correct.
sketch plan, it's just showing the
This
layout
is
of the
a
lots.
sketch plan right here.
It's in order,
Yeah.
it's submitted for you to give feedback to
Correct.
the developer, of
Correct.
what you think they need to look
Correct.
at and address. And I think clearly the master development plan fits that qualification.
As for the sketch plan.
Yes.
Okay, then we're in the preliminary
So we're at the
phase.
preliminary phase now, yes.
As, are these rules and regulations, do they apply to this current phase two from 2023?
Yes.
Do we have to adhere to this to make a determination?
I think we do because we changed the regs, but,
That's what I'm talking about.
but
And
it's in
again,
the
if
reg.
they've submitted them and they comply with the new regulations, you know, you can, and developers agreed to submit that plan and build it in accordance with that, yeah, that's fine. There's nothing to say the developer can't build under new regulations. It just gives them the option to build them in the
They could
older
argue.
if they wanted to.
They could
So he
argue.
can actually build this under the
He can argue they
regulations
should build it
prior to 2023.
because there was a master development plan, is what I'm, but I believe from the sub-regs, other than any requirements that we might deem needed for this specific site, it sounds like other than just some technical issues, the subdivision regulations in and of themselves related to.
Right, because there's quite a list for the preliminary plat that needs to be provided to us to make the determination. And, then the town planner is supposed to give us a recommendation
Which is Steve's our
to recommend
engineer,
approval.
engineer
or
slash
not
planner.
approval. And then the checklist been filled out, everything's,
So I think if irregardless of whether we approve or deny, whatever we want to happen relative to this subdivision, whether it happens on phase two or phase three, I think out of fairness to the developer, we need to go ahead and ask for it. If we need that traffic study, let's just
And
go.
there is in the record on prior approvals, references to the need for the developer to, particularly with respect to that second entrance, to make a plan for that and maybe requiring a traffic study, with respect to that. And that was before the issue of annexation was even brought up.
So with all this discussion, would one of y'all gentlemen like to make a motion?
and in the motion, do we need to give you the reasoning why we did go with the?
Either in the motion or under discussion before we vote on it, I think we do need to
No,
state.
it has to be in the motion.
Okay.
Again, if it's a motion to deny, it has to specifically cite the reasons for it from the subdivision regulations, yeah.
And if there's anything we want as a requirement, we, then it's a condition.
Overcome what we think the red.
So in addition to the regs, the traffic study doesn't automatically require, or the regulations don't automatically require a traffic study, but we certainly can ask for one. We can make that as a condition for the approval. If it's denied, I believe we can go ahead and just ask for one.
If upon the approval, not by us, but by Bowman, at what point can construction begin on the preliminary plan?
Bowman don't see
They don't see
this
it.
is ours. Bowman sees annexations
Okay.
or anything, an annexation, a change of
Okay.
zoning, like
Well,
if somebody were changing.
If it
from-
was approved, when can construction commence on phase two?
As soon as they get their construction plans approved by water, sewer, roads.
But then there's already construction being
See,
completed.
yeah, it's not
That's where I'm
construction
getting
of
counted.
homes. They can't sell any lots or
Correct.
subdividing lots, but they can.
But
do
they can go
preliminary
ahead, they
work.
can go ahead and clear and grub and put
Yeah.
utilities in,
So
before the
please,
preliminary plat is approved.
Clear.
But they do that at their own risk.
Yes, correct. That is accurate.
Right.
So if there was a road built before any type of approval to happen.
Or any type of utility extended into phase two and it hasn't been approved from the preliminary plat,
Well,
and
now,
it doesn't
any-
get approved.
Any utility installed, so sewer line was installed going
Well,
south.
normally, we stop at the phase line, and then once the phase line gets put in, construction drawings and everything's done, then we continue on with the utilities and everything into the next phase.
And Donnie can help me on this. One unique thing about this subdivision is they ran a new sewer force main to the sewer plant.
He had to.
and it went through his property, and they built a lift station,
Which was
it's
required
gonna
to get-
handle, it's gonna handle the whole subdivision.
Correct.
And construction drawings haven't been approved for this
No.
phase yet, so that has to happen.
That's the third, that's the
Steve-
third.
Steve has to approve
That's the
that.
third item.
But
Comes in
Harley,
and-
we don't see those. That's all, the
We don't
planning,
get to see the construction.
Todd,
You will.
No,
we
We'll
see-
get them emailed
but
to you and all
we get,
that.
well, we can see them, but we don't
Just
vote on
don't
them.
vote.
We don't vote on them, the our town's engineer, applicant's engineer.
Correct, we don't vote on that until the final plat, and that's when we bring up any concerns we have in the construction drawings and when the final plat comes.
Well, the construction's done at final, so
I understand
construction,
that. That's what I want to understand.
the
sequence
construction is
how we
between
go.
the two engineers.
Correct,
And
We
it-
can see them, but we don't vote. We don't vote to approve the water line or approve the sewer.
correct, I understand
Yeah.
that. That's
And-
signed off by the
Correct,
individual
correct.
department.
That is right.
And the
I
developer
understand
does have to comply with the most recent construction, standards for the town too, regardless of whether
Right,
it's
right.
approved.
Well, like I said, my question was, when can you start working to
As soon as-
a phase that's a preliminary plat,
I mean, when T-Deck approves the water line, they can start laying the water line.
even in the area that's not been approved as
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
preliminary plat?
if T-Deck approves the water line, they can lay that in. And as far as any clearing or roadway work, if the applicant chooses to work on his site without any approval, he can certainly do that. He
Right.
just don't have any
Guaranteed.
official approvals or guarantees that, that the plat, that the plat's gonna happen.
Correct.
And well, I'll give you, and Harvey, you'll know, Chapel Woods, you can still go on an aerial satellite image. You can still see roads in the woods that were built. The base and the clearing for the roads were done in '88, and they were never built.
And that would be on the capacity of the sewer. or something.
No, that was the savings and loan crisis, or,
Wasn't 2008.
well, no, that was 80.
Yeah, they kind of, it's a roller coaster.
Uh,
Well, the only questions that I have, not questions, but I read through the regs, and if you look at Article 1, which is purpose to promote the public health, safety, and general welfare of the jurisdictional area. 3, provide for adequate light, air, privacy, secure safety, fire, flood, other dangers, and to prevent overcrowding of the land and undue congestion of the population. I've been in that area for 35 years. I just don't see that kind of traffic going to the underpass. I just don't see it. And until the railroad, situation got taken care of, I would have to make a recommendation for denial.
Okay.
So is that from,
Article 1, D, 1, 3, 4, and 6.
from the subdivision regulations?
Correct,
Just
from the
the general-
subdivision regulations.
The general provisions of the subdivision regulations.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
You can second the motion and still vote on it. But it has to have a
Yeah.
second.
We have to have a second every time, so we have to have a second on the motion. And again, we still have discussion
No vote.
and a vote. And you can make a motion and second it and still vote on the way.
One second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on the motion as seconded? And to be clear, Harley has stated a few line items in our subdivision regulations.
You wanna add it to it? Article 5, A4. Character land. And then, on Article 5, you got C, 6D, present and future demands of area.
Okay. Any further discussion? Todd?
Yeah, I don't, again, the comments that have been made, I think are completely appropriate from the public. I think they're all valid concerns. I think they're all issues that need to be addressed by the planning commission. I think denying this plat based upon those general provisions of the, subdivision regulations without referencing a specific, non-compliance with the existing subdivision regulations it's gonna subject the town to a challenge that is probably gonna be overturned at the court if it goes to that point. Again, if there's a basis, including potentially the moratorium issue, to deny it, then by all means, but I think there has to be something that you specifically point to in the subregs that says, this doesn't comply with the plat that you've submitted.
So, while we're still discussing this, I think it does need to be referenced as part of the motion that we do not have a clear definition from the Board of Mayor and Aldermen as to the water availability. We did request that last month. I know it was discussed, so I do know that, the Aldermen, and the mayor and Donnie, I know it's been discussed, but, same thing we discussed last month, that without clear definition, that is also an item that I think this body needs clarity on, because we don't run the water system for the town.
Right.
We don't know what goes on the, daily basis with that, so I'm sure this plat will come back to us, and when it does, I still would like, whether it's the mayor and aldermen, I think, do we have a water and wastewater board now? Is that a new board that was set up or
It
not?
is being set up right now.
So
It was voted in, yeah.
if the water and wastewater board is in effect, if it could be, maybe we have a work session with them, maybe they just give us their opinion. I personally would like a little more feedback on that as well, because, and like Todd said multiple times, once the preliminary plat's approved, and even with the concept there are vested rights, but with the preliminary plat, that is officially your building permit to move forward. I mean, with the preliminary plat, you can build a road, lay a water line, lay a sewer line, and then if the water availability wasn't there, it would be unfortunate. So I think I personally would like a little more clarity on that.
If you can do that on the preliminary plat, or the inspection fees and everything paid at that time, we're able to state.
So there's a
Water
plat,
line and-
so there's a plat submittal fee paid.
You're gonna cover the inspection fees,
That-
if you're gonna be laying the water line and utilities in
That's a Amy or Steve question. I know the preliminary plat fees do pay for administrative things that happen within the city.
Right.
As far as the on-site engineer, I don't know, is that paid for out of the plat submittal fees, or is that a separate deal to the
say if you want to lay the water line.
If there are any fees that go over plat submittals, then they're billed directly to the developer.
So the town don't lose money on administrative.
I'm not losing the money, but it is the utilities and infrastructure being installed in a platted section, or
Yes.
being inspected at
Yes.
that time.
Donnie's with the water board, yeah. So I personally, I'll also at some point would like clarity specific to this neighborhood from the board we answer to, which is the mayor and
And also, my
aldermen.
only intention is the safety aspect of it at that ingress egress point of the railroad track.
Do we need to amend the motion, say anything about the water, or just leave it?
That's up to, the
Would
motion's
you
on the
like-
table.
Would you like to amend your motion to include clarity on the water availability? Clarity, or
We can add it,
an answer
I
from,
think it should be. because
an answer from
we have-
the mayor and alderman? Because officially, if another developer on a brand new property came in tomorrow, we're under a moratorium. We would, so, we've got that added. Do we have a second on?
Yeah, I think I would suggest restating the motion,
Okay,
and then
just restate your motion a minute.
I make a motion for denial with the articles, stipulating the articles, Article 1D, 1, 3, 4, and 6. Article 5, A4, C6. Well, that's for the, just Article 5, A4.
And,
Those are for the connector. And with the stipulation of the moratorium on the water.
And did you want the safety?
traffic,
You
What's
want,
part of
the
that
traffic
traffic?
study.
You want a traffic study.
Correct, the traffic, yeah, if that's,
Yeah, you
yeah.
have to add that to.
Oh,
You have to put that in.
but on the denial, you have to add that too?
I would, if that's something we're wanting before we approve the plat, I would go.
A
ahead and put that
complete
in.
traffic study and remediation of the railroad underpass, overpass area.
Okay, we have a new motion, do we have a second?
Only one here, second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second, any discussion on the motion as amended, or restated? Hearing none, we will vote on the motion to deny with the items stated below. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I will abstain, if you can reference 2 ayes to deny and one vote to abstain. Okay, that's item 1 and 2 under old business. Moving forward, we will go to new business. Item number 1, consideration of request to issue an opinion with regard to a turn lane for the entrance at 4543 Nashville Highway. So this is in our packet. This is not, there was a little bit of confusion on this one. This is not the mini storage on the west side of Nashville Highway. This was the Chapel Hill Fitness. This on the east side of Nashville Highway, just south of the dentist office, where Dr. Dillon is. And Steve, I'm gonna, before we discuss anything, I'm gonna turn this over to you because you have more expertise with reading what the traffic study, so they did have a traffic study, we required that. And Steve, if you can kind of fill us in on what the consensus or outcome of the traffic study is.
Well, one item, I think the applicant is asking the city to send that letter regarding those terms. Are we particularly
Prior
gonna do
to
that?
T-Dot.
Yeah.
So it's not been submitted to TDOT for TDOT approval.
On page 17, Gillian states that turn lane is required. So, I would say if you're gonna submit, get with her and say, yeah, is this turn lane adequate? Before you submit to TDOT. Because TDOT's gonna take it and just say, you agreed to do it, right?
And again, this is on page 17.
With this request, I
Yes.
will say that, he contacted us to get a letter from us regarding, our opinion on if a turn lane was warranted, and he feels like it's not. And I said, well, that's a matter, it's a state highway, it's not a, it's not a city road, and I can't give you a city opinion on such. So he wanted it, an opinion from you guys, if y'all feel like it's warranted to write a letter saying, hey, we don't feel like it's in the city's best interest to have a turn lane right there, or if we just need to stay with, no, I told him that our opinions in the past have not.
Yeah. So I guess before we move forward, and I apologize for not doing this already, is there anyone on behalf of the applicant here? Hey there.
Hi, my name is Brittany Moore. My husband Isaac and I own Chapel Hill Fitness, and this is obviously in regards to the new gym that we would like to build. I have a few notes, but just to clarify, we completed our traffic study, like you said, and sent a copy of that a few weeks ago to the city. The traffic engineers advised us to request a letter from the city stating that a turn lane, in your opinion, would not be necessary, and that it would not fit the current traffic pattern due to no turning lanes in the entire town for businesses. The study shows that the daily volume to the gym would have a negligible impact on the current traffic. We are already an established business, and we're just relocating to a less congested area. The increase in daily traffic is minimal, and technically, we didn't even meet the requirements in the state handbook for a traffic study. Obviously, we did that because that was required by you all, and that was fine. But the traffic engineer's conclusion is that a turning lane is not needed, and even if we had a turning lane, it wouldn't make a difference or positively impact commuting in any way. So the traffic engineer also said it was not uncommon for cities to provide a letter to attach to a TDOT submission. So we're just asking if you'll provide us that letter based off of what is in the traffic study. That might help our.
So just a question, if, and I think you're here tonight for this body to just give you our opinion.
Yeah, well,
If-
yes, that was what was recommended to us, to reach out to you.
So if we don't give you an opinion and we just stick to whatever TDOT's gonna require, which we have done several times in the past, We have several times in the past, on multiple occasions. We've pushed it off to TDOT and just pretty much said, you have to make TDOT happy. We had another scenario where TDOT wouldn't approve it here, but they said, move it over here. If we don't grant an opinion, are y'all prepared to move forward just to see what TDOT requires?
We are, but when we spoke to the traffic engineer, she said that in almost 90% of cases that she's worked on, and people have provided a letter of recommendation, especially with the threshold is already so low, and for where we are, I mean, we're not even at the limit that we really need to be, that they would take into consideration a lot better than if we just supplied the actual study.
At what time frame was the traffic study done?
It was just recently done within the.
With school being out?
No, it was before the school was in session.
They all have to do with school.
And they're further south.
Yeah.
We have written them before.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
but
we
it's still
wrote one
backs
for
up.
Brookfield
You get back to it.
Okay.
But that would be
because
something
they
y'all
were on
would
the
need
same
to
road going to a
suggest
different
writing.
And I know the traffic,
If y'all gave an
People.
opinion tonight, it would be in the minutes, and I would be able to write a letter based off of that.
so I guess I'm confused, on, as Steve's pointed out on page 17, where it says, your projected traffic volumes shown in figure 8 warrant,
Doesn't require.
it doesn't require, it says warrant, so is that a, Todd, what's the legal definition of warrant not required?
Well, they told us that the threshold was so low that it
Yeah,
was gonna warrant it
that's,
anyway.
to me, that's confusing, how would you interpret that?
No, I mean, I think I would interpret it basically the same as required, but, so as
So
far as what
warrant-
they're asking the town, and I didn't remember what the town provided or how we got to providing that with respect to the church, whether that was a determination that Steve made or whether it was just based upon planning commission recommendation.
I do remember the church's discussion,
Because they said
They're-
they were
they're-
already on the same road and they're just moving down the road.
and their loading and offloading is one time a week when people aren't working, so the church, just remembering discussions we have with the
Yeah, it
church.
was an off day.
Yeah,
But was
a
that,
little
was
different
that done
scenario.
based on a vote taken by planning commission?
I don't remember, I don't
Yeah.
remember that being voted on, so I don't, y'all disagree with me if you want to, I don't know.
I mean, you can give your opinion, I don't think there's really any authority for the planning commission to take specific action.
I mean, my opinion is, maybe we don't set a precedent and just don't give an opinion and just roll with what TDOT. And we have done that in the past, we have asked people in the past to do whatever TDOT was gonna
Because
require.
in her permitting process with TDOT, they will come out and look.
That is correct.
And do their own
Based on the
assessment.
road, based
and
on-
say, this is what we're requiring.
Based on the line of sight,
Correct,
each way.
correct.
One positive thing in this area of town, the lower your speed limit, the less likely
Correct.
they're gonna require something because people aren't traveling 70 miles an
Right,
hour. They're, I mean, they might, but they're not supposed to. So your speed limit, is that 35 or 40 through that area?
30.
It's what?
30 all the way to the park.
30.
All the way
It's
to-
30?
It's been 30.
What have you been doing?
You don't see that flash, you don't see that flashing sign out there?
It's 30?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been
So,
30 for a while.
the hard, I'm gonna ask y'all's opinion on that. Do y'all wanna make an official opinion of what the city should write? Give them a letter stating anything, or Todd?
Yeah, if you were gonna take that action, probably what I would suggest is to direct Steve or to make a recommendation and to put that in the form of a letter with, based on some actual numbers and facts, other than just.
And if we just choose not to have an opinion, that, I hate to ask you what's your recommendation gonna be, but,
I say let T-Dog make their recommendation.
okay. Yeah, so we have the city's engineer advising us to
Which,
just,
with McDonald's, we did it as a rebuttal. They came back and said they needed it, and that's when we had our opinion.
And the town would still have that option.
and we would still have the option if a further communication came up with TDOT, so I don't know if this requires a motion or not, but I think
It is required.
but then they came back in discussion and they shifted the interest down and then they didn't require it. Okay.
Would I like to,
Let's,
would I like to
let's
see
put that in the form of a motion.
turn lanes all the way through town? Yes, I would.
Yes.
But I think we need to require that this time? No, probably not.
So if that, let's put that in the form of a
Let
motion.
T-Dot,
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we let T-Dot make the recommendation.
okay. So we have a motion,
Turn lane.
the applicant deal with T-Dot, and then if a further communication needs to happen after that, we'll deal with it then. Do we have a second?
Second, I agree with the T-Dot deal.
Okay, do we have any discussion on that? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. We have no, thank you. We have no other new business. Do we have any, Amy, do we have any discussion items? Anything that we haven't already covered for tonight? Okay. Do we, Bill, do we have any closing remarks?
Thank y'all, thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting is adjourned.
How about this one, Dave?